Is there some place you want to go? If not, I'll think of something. It's hard to match up with what she likes, but I don't feel like it's a pain.
先輩が決めてくれていいわよ。でもあんまり遅くなるのはダメだから。帰ってから練習もしたいしね。
Want to practice, huh? Not have to. How about my place then? It's probably better to have an audience besides me.
いいけど、エッチなことしたら怒るわよ。
I wasn't thinking about that at all, but I started to get conscious after she pointed it out. I won't. Michiru and GD are around. We'll just hang out as friends. Maybe you could perform for them.
みちると DD 先輩に？
Yeah, I think it's important to hear other people's comments. Plus, Michiru is sort of experienced.
そういえばそうだったわね。わかったわ。その時にみちるにバイオリンの練習をしてることを教えてみる。
You sure? I did invite you, but are you okay with telling them about it?
コンクールに出れば伝わるんだし、遅いか早いかの違いよ。
I see. Okay. I also told them both that I confessed to you and that I'm still waiting for an answer.
みちるに話したの？それであの子先輩と私の関係をしつこく聞いてきたわけね。
She did? Sorry.
秘密にしてって頼まなかった私も悪いんだけど、それに2人とも先輩の家族だし聞く権利はあるわよね。でもバイオリンのことは私から話すからね。
Don't worry, I don't plan to tell them.
でもみちるの様子を見てると先輩と付き合えないって言ったのに喜んでなさそうね。それってある意味公認？
You have to work hard at the contest, so she will.
頑張る。
I'm looking forward to it too. I felt myself break into a smile as I was typing my message, along with the anxious feeling of inviting the girl I like into my home. I have to do my best to welcome her so she'd feel at home.
美咲さんとのお話は終わりましたか？
Michiru?
あらあら、私は静かに入ってきましたが、気づかないほど熱心だったのですね。
Sorry. Wait. Quite? You sneaked in so I wouldn't notice you, right?
ですが、普段の兄様なら気づかれて当然かと思いますが。
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
いえ、いいのです。嫌味を言うつもりはありませんから。ただ少し美咲さんに嫉妬をするあまり意地悪をしたくなっただけです。
She giggled, but I'm suspicious of how envious she really is. She'll never pull any tricks that could harm anyone. But I think she'll express her love for me even more instead. I won't neglect you.
今日はいつになく帰宅が遅かったようですが。
Misaki asked me for some advice.
今も相談事ですか？
Kind of. By the way, on Saturday...
私とデートをしてくださるのですか？
Sorry, Misaki will be coming over.
デートをされるのですか？
Unfortunately, you're slightly off. She refused. It's about a problem of hers. I want you to be around.
兄様の告白が受け入れられなかったことに関係があるのですか？
Michiru sure is perceptive. She can tell by the mood, even if I make a poker face. Sorry, I can't say it myself.
わかりました。兄様を困らせてもいけませんよね。私自身も美咲さんとゆっくりお話しする機会が欲しかったので楽しみです。
Her motives seem to be different from mine. Just get along with her, okay?
もちろん仲良くさせていただきますわ。将来は姉妹になるかもしれないですし、血のつながりだけでなく、さお。
Do not finish that sentence.
仕方ありませんね。
She pouted her lips in discontent. Is this like some kind of wife and sister-in-law relationship? That escalated quickly. But still, that kind of future doesn't sound bad.
おはよう先輩。待たせちゃったかな。
Morning, Misaki. You're still pretty early, so no worries. I wouldn't have been waiting for more than 5 minutes at any rate.
そっか。ならよかった。
Misaki's bashful smile seemed to wield even more destructive power without her being in uniform. The thought of the girl I liked coming over to hang out at my place made me feel strangely anxious. But it seemed the feeling was mutual. Misaki was nervously fidgeting with the handle of a violin case. And then, glancing behind me, her expression froze in place.
DD 先輩？
これはもう、美咲をジョン様とお呼びした方がよろしいでしょうかね。
どうして？
なんとなくでございますよ。例えば、ご主人様のお客様だったりです。
メイドとご主人様？
It's not what you're thinking of, DD. Just came up with that on her own. Also, DD, try not to tease Misaki. That's my prerogative.
そうよ。先輩の特権で。もうなくもないけど、そういうの禁止。
おやおや？
As Misaki turned even redder, I had a bit of an urge to tease her a little more, but for now it was best to put that aside. DD, if you wouldn't mind, we should let her in now.
おっと、これは失礼いたしました。それと、ご挨拶が遅れてしまいましたね。いらっしゃいませ、美咲様。
様もいらないから。普通で構いませんからね、DD 先輩。
いえいえ、今日はご主人様のお客様ですからね。メイドモードで接待いたします。
DD gave her a quite a formal bow.
美咲様、荷物をキャリーいたしましょうか？
これは自分で運ぶから大丈夫よ。
かしこまりました。それではどうぞお入りくださいませ。
ありがとうございます。
Misaki seemed visibly relieved, having evidently realized she wasn't being made out for a fool.
DD 先輩って本当にメイドなんだ。言えば和風なのに。
Well, even in a Western-styled home, it's not an ordinary thing. Besides, DD wasn't really doing this maid stuff as a job, more like as a hobby. All the same, even if it was just a hobby, she went as far as to offer to carry her belongings and gave her a proper welcoming. Maybe she's just more excited than usual because Misaki's here.
あら、美咲さん、いらっしゃいませ。
おはようみちる。今日はよろしくね。
それは家族として技師としてよろしくということでしょうか？はい。まだ交際しているわけでもないのですから、いささか気が早いのではありませんか？
そこまで言ってないし。
そうでしたね。美咲さんは兄様の告白をお断りされたようですし。
断ってないからね。先輩も勘違いしないでよね。
これが噂の勘違いしないでよねというツンデレですか。
DD 先輩の勘違いが一番ひどいわよ。
私は勘違いなどしておりませんよ。いわゆるキープというものですね。さすがは殿方に人気の美咲さん。一味違うということですか。
何言ってるのよ。
兄様は都合のいい男にされてしまったのですね。おいたわしい限りです。これは私が体を使って心身ともに慰めて差し上げなければなりませんね。
何をするつもりなのよ。
美咲さんは何をしたらいいと思いますか？
何もしなくていいの。変なこと言わせようとしないでよ。
Ha! Even when Misaki's being teased, she's just too darn cute. Not to mention, Michiru was pretty lively today too. It really was a good idea to invite her over. Guess I'll just have to snap a picture of this on my phone.
とにかく不義理とかじゃなくて事情があって返事を保留させてもらってるだけだから。
今日は その事情を説明していただけるのでしょうか。
それを含めてよ。
そうですか。ではここで立ち話もなんですし、部屋の中で聞きましょうか。
お邪魔します。
ご案内いたします。
It's just to my room, though.
ここが先輩の部屋。男の人の部屋って初めて入ったかも。
私はいつも自由に出入りしていますが。
羨ましくなんて。
Come on, Michiru is just my sister. You don't need to compete with her over stuff like that. Still, even if she is just my sister, I seriously wish she'd stop coming in and out of a boy's room as she damn well pleases.
そうね。みちるは先輩の妹。あくまでも妹でしかないんだし。
そうかもしれませんね。今はあくまでも妹です。
だったら私も今は後輩でいいわよ。
そうですか。おお、ホットなやりとりが続いておりますね。
It feels much colder than that to me, though. While Misaki and Michiru were quibbling, Didi had evidently finished preparing the tea. The pleasant aroma of the tea was adept at soothing my soul.
お嬢様方もこちらへどうぞ。ありがとうございます、DD さん。
いただきます。
While Michiru accepted her portion naturally as ever, Misaki seemed quite nervous as she did the same.
じー。
DD 先輩？
どうかなさいましたか、美咲様。
DD 先輩も一緒にどうですか？
おや、私もご一緒してしまってよろしいのですか？
I don't mind. After all, since you prepared 4 cups, you must have been expecting to join us. Besides, I'd never intended to exclude Didi from our gathering in the first place.
私はむしろいてほしいかな。DD 先輩も告白のことを聞いたでしょ？
元いいなずけですからね。もちろんです。
Misaki seemed to have a slight reaction to the X bit, but she didn't press the issue. Seeing Didi's demeanor, she probably had her reasons.
それで、美咲さん、お話とは？
その、二人がどこまで知ってるのかわからないんだけど、私にはやりたいことがあるの。
もしかしてバイオリンですか？
小さい頃からやっててね。近いうちにコンクールがあって、そこへ向けて練習中なの。だから今は誰かと付き合えないし、真剣に向き合いたいから告白の返事もできないの。バイオリンも先輩の気持ちも中途半端にしたくないから。
Misaki heaved a sigh of relief after explaining the whole situation.
そうですか。でしたら、私からは何も言うことはありませんね。
いいの？
何がいいのかはわかりませんが、兄様の気持ちをもてあそんでいないのでしたら、最後は当人同士の気持ちですし、強いて言えば、兄様を幸せにできるかどうかですね。レイ君が納得しているのでしたら、私もお二人の仲を応援しちゃいますよ。
I know I'm fine with it. How about it, Misaki?
そっか。ありがとう。
I lost myself in Misaki's gentle smile.
随分と甘い空気ですが、真剣に向き合うとはこういうことですか？かやのお外でしたね。
そんなことなかったから、浮かれてないし、今から真剣に練習するもん。
Just as she said, Misaki started to set everything up for a performance, as if she were trying to clear the emotions of the moment from her mind. She certainly was taking this seriously, though she'd undoubtedly gone through these motions countless times by now.
兄様が言っていた悩みの相談というのはこれだったのですね。
Yeah, you learned to play when you were young too, right?
かじった程度でよろしければ。と言っても、美咲さんの方が経歴は長いと思いますが。
期間と腕が正比例するわけじゃないでしょ。少なくとも私の場合はね。先輩からもみちるはバイオリンが上手だって聞いてるわ。
兄様が褒めてくださっていたなんて何事も習ってみるものですね。
それで演奏を聞いてもらってみちるからも感想を言ってもらいたいんだけど。
それくらいの協力はさせていただきます。課題曲は？
それならいくつかあるんだけど。
They started to talk about various technical elements of performing. It did cut me some slack, since I couldn't give advice on that subject, but I also felt a little lonely about not being able to join in.
それじゃあみちるは本当にずっと弾いてないんだ。
興味が持てませんからね。兄様からお願いされたのなら別ですが。
そうなんだ
小さい時に使っていたバイオリンでしたら蔵のどこかに眠っているかもしれませんが。
それってキッズサイズでしょ。さすがにサイズが小さいって。
できないことはないでしょうが、今日は諦めましょう。
それがいいわね。男装にはちょっと興味あったけど。男装ですか？
She doesn't mean that kind of drag, DD. I would have liked to hear you both play myself, but it's kind of a shame I can't hear Michiru play.
私も聞きたいかな。みちるの演奏は先輩がすっごく褒めてたから。私もお嬢様のすごいところ見たいです。
そこまで期待されてしまったら私も弾くしかありませんね。美咲さんのバイオリンを貸していただけますか？
私の？いいけど子供用のしか使ったことないのよね。
ええ、ですが以前に見たことがありますから。
Feeling around for the correct positioning, Michiru corrected her playing stance as if it were natural to her. She placed her fingers on the strings in order, starting from the left hand pinky, and verified the pitch by playing a single note on the G string, in other words, the so note. After adjusting the knobs atop the instrument a few times, evidently they were called the pegs, she nodded to herself in satisfaction.
では僭越ながら演奏させていただきますね。
After giving us a slight bow, she shifted once again to playing stance. And the world changed in an instant. Just the first measure of the melody Michiru played captured my heart in mere seconds. Her feelings overflowed from each note she played. It stirred my heart. Even with my plebeian knowledge of music, I could definitely discern how much the music was moving me. Every vibration of the strings allowed Michiru's sentiments to overflow all the more. I couldn't take my eyes off her. Memories of a younger Michiru also flashed in my mind. Her performance made her look like a sublime painting come to life.
ありがとうございました。
It was only after she said that and took a bow when I finally realized her performance had ended. Even that gesture of hers was so refined, as if it were part of the performance as well. How I was still lost in a comforting, weightless sensation from that performance, not yet fully conscious of reality. That was amazing! Really, really amazing!
うまく弾けたようで安心しました。それに私が演奏に込めた気持ちも届いたようで安心しました。
Seeing her humble smile made me realize that I was correct in imagining a pleasant scene. And I felt quite happy about correctly assuming she was conveying her emotions through her performance as well. Well, it felt kind of sad that it had to end. I wanted to hear more of it.
私もです。とっても素敵で感動しました。おまけにのろけられた気分でお胸がとってもシュガー&スイートです。
ありがとうございます。兄様、DD さん。
I wanted to say, you're welcome, but I couldn't smile in this situation. If another guy saw her performing like that, it'd be love at first sight, wouldn't it?
美咲さんもありがとうございました。
Michiru returned the violin to Misaki with a bashful smile on her face. At that, Misaki, who had been frozen on the spot from hearing the performance, finally snapped out of her trance. She awkwardly took the violin from Michiru's grasp and tucked it closely to her chest. She looked just like a child who'd lost, then found, her favorite toy.
お疲れ様。すごかったね。
美咲さんに褒めていただけて幸いです。
うん。驚いたかな。数年ぶりに演奏してこれとかね。
Her smile seemed rather forced as she spoke, and she seemed rather emotionally detached. With the knowledge of Misaki's own inner turmoil, I knew why she was behaving this way and how she felt right now, in spite of all the effort she'd put into it. In spite of doing her best to stay positive, despite being disheartened. In spite of continuing to work hard to improve herself out of her love for this pastime. She felt as though a greater talent than her had bested her before her very eyes, without even breaking a sweat. Life just isn't fair.
お次は美咲様のターンですね。その前に少し休憩してもいいかな。おう、化粧直しの時間ですね。化粧なんてしてないけどね。
As Misaki smiled anxiously, Michiru also seemed to clue into something seeming awry. Not to mention DD as well. She kept glancing back and forth between me and Misaki.
DD さん、もう少し婉曲的な表現を心がけましょうね。
You too, Michiru. You've been way too direct with me lately, so just try to watch yourself.
あら、これでも十二分に心がけておりますよ。
Then I'd hate to see her not giving them careful consideration. That conversation carried on, managing to dispel the awkward mood. Now then, Misaki, do you know where the restroom is? I can guide you there.
おやおや、ご主人様と美咲様がご一緒にですか。
兄様、私も一緒に中へ。
Like hell you will. Let's go, Misaki.
いい気です。
Cutting Michiru off, I took Misaki's hand and left the room. They probably meant well, but they were kinda pushing their luck. Incidentally, this may seem obvious now, but we hadn't left the room to go wash our hands.
こんな庭があるとかとんでもないわね。
It's kinda late for that comment though.
お嬢様なんだなって思ったついでよ。
Misaki heaved an exhausted sigh after saying that. She was certainly down on her luck, but wasn't really depressed either. Her gaze absent-mindedly moved from the garden, then to her feet, and finally to the sky. Maybe she just couldn't decide where to look. Hey, Misaki.
ミチルはずるいよね。ずっと弾いてなかったのに、あんなに上手なんて。
It certainly was difficult to respond to that. I just returned a resigned gaze of my own to Misaki. And then, just as she had done, I turned my gaze to the sky.
あのお嬢様は何でもこなせるのってずるいでしょ。何をやっても人並み以上にこなせるのとかもどんな才能なのよ。
She doesn't have the motivation to do more though.
やれるのとやらないのは別でしょ。羨ましいわよ。
Well, I think you're pretty amazing yourself. I couldn't put that much effort into something on my own. I think being able to do your best is a talent in itself. Besides, sustaining your passion for something can be hard to do. Just being able to keep up with your goal, that's all amazing.
すごいばっかりだね。ありがたみがなくなるわ。
I'm serious though. I'm proud of Michiru, but I also admire those traits in you. That was, after all, why I ended up falling for Misaki in the first place.
そっか。ありがとね、先輩。私は大丈夫だから。
Misaki nodded contentedly, without a hint of defeat in her expression. Even if I hadn't spurred her on, she'd always been strong enough to get back on her own 2 feet.
先輩がそうやって応援してくれてるんだから、落ち込んでられないわよ。
I see. You really are amazing.
まあ、ショックを受けなかったわけじゃないけどね。驚いたし、落ち込んだし、不甲斐なかったり、憤ったり、ぐるぐるしてたかな。 私が今までしてきた努力なんてみちるにとってはしてないも同然だったのかなとかね。
I don't think that's true in the slightest. I sat down beside her and took her hand. Her hand was trembling, but it didn't seem to be out of frustration.
私もそう思う。
Misaki had gone back to how she always was, yet she seemed even more attractive than before as well.
先輩がいてくれるから私は大丈夫だって信じられるの。一人じゃないから妬まずにいられるのよ。
Misaki's palm pressed against mine and our fingers intertwined. So white and so soft, yet her fingertips were noticeably hard due to all that practicing.
私は得意だから練習してるんじゃなくて、バイオリンが好きだから練習してるの。たくさん練習するのも苦しくても努力するのももっともっと上手に弾けるようになりたいからよ。
There's no doubt you'll get better at it.
ありがとう先輩。
I didn't have any proof of that statement to offer, but it made her smile all the same.
先輩のおかげで元気が出たわ。
I'm happy I could help you out.
いつもなってるわよ。先輩がいなかったら。
If you didn't have me, then what? Turning the question back on her, I could see the nape of her neck going scarlet, but instead of blowing up at me, she turned to look me dead in the eyes.
ここまで頑張ろうって思えたのは先輩のおかげだから。ありがとう。
Though her voice wavered somewhat near the end of that statement, she'd still conveyed her feelings to me quite clearly. You're welcome. But if you mean to say you're giving it all your effort just for my sake...
そこまでは言ってないわよ。先輩のためにもって話。そうしないと先輩と。
Be able to what? Misaki, her ears bright red, seemed to completely freeze up at my pairing remark. Given that reaction, I had a pretty good idea of what she wanted to say. It had been her goal from the very beginning to get some kind of good result from the contest. Ergo, she must have been referring to her response to my confession.
ちょっと人の顔見て変な笑い方しないでよ。
You were wearing quite a smirk yourself, though I won't deny it was pretty cute.
余計なこと言わないで。みちるたちに聞かれたらどうするのよ。
As you wish. I'll say it somewhere else next time.
そういう問題じゃないの。
Misaki started wailing on my chest with her fists, though her blows were incredibly weak and ineffectual. Still, even this little bout of physical affection was something I felt grateful for. But just to be sure, I grabbed her hands as if I were trying to pacify a child. And to make her completely stop, I intertwined her fingers with mine. Misaki, don't do that. You really wouldn't want to injure your fingers now, would you?
分かってるわよ。
Then why'd you do it in the first place? Did you want to hold hands with me that badly? Huh?
そんなつもりなかったけど嫌じゃないから。
I see. Oh, hell yeah! Party time! Excellent! I'm so happy I could break out into a stupid grin right here and now, but I can't let Misaki see me like that. I was just trying to tease her, and she answered me directly. No fair, but not like I'm complaining anyway.
ほら早く戻って練習するわよ。
Roger, Wilco. We left the garden with Misaki pulling on my hand. I felt like a dog being pulled on a leash, but that sentiment was best kept to myself. The moment we got back to the room, Misaki took up her violin and started to play. Her composure was perfectly calm, without any hint of all the ado from earlier. The rhythm of her performance seemed to match Michiru's performance quite closely. It was rather difficult to compare both their performances. And yet, were you to ask which performance we liked the most, all four of us would have agreed it was Michiru's. Misaki herself was aware of that too, and so, as a result of that,
アドバイスをしてほしいの。
私は学んだ期間が短いですし、 技術的なアドバイスはできませんよ。
そういうのじゃないの。みちるは私が持ってないものを持ってる気がするから。練習量とかじゃない何かがあると思うの。
それで私よりも上達するためのアドバイスを私にしろと。
うん、みちるよりも上達したいと思ってる。
本気？いえ、正気ですか？
どうしてそこで言い換えるのよ。
その方が適切かと思いまして。
Taking a sip of tea to quench her thirst, Michiru breathed a gloomy sigh.
まず問題が一つ。私がうまく教えられるかわかりませんね。次に心情的な話ですが、ライバルに手を貸すというのも。
ライバル？
Both of us were baffled at that statement. And naturally, Misaki's eyes were wide with surprise as well.
何の話？
だから私もコンクールに参加するんです。
Oh, really?
なんで？
Hey, I sure as hell didn't get that memo.
まだ腕が錆びついていないことが分かりましたし、ついさっき決めました。
Michiru giggled. My little sister, everybody. She really does live life on the spurs of her every slightest whim.
本当に？みちるもコンクールに出場するの？
ええ、そうです。そして勝った方が兄様と結ばれます。
どうしてそうなるのよ。
美咲さんが私に勝つとおっしゃいましたし、それはつまり対決の場が必要ですよね。それとも本気ではなかったのですか？
She held her teacup in one hand with a sinister grin. My little sister can't be that onerous.
それは。
もっとも勝負に乗らないような臆病者に兄様を託すつもりはありませんが。
Even though her previous use of the word rival seemed to be in jest, I could tell that Michiru was deadly serious about this.
そうね。先輩との関係がなくても最初から優勝するつもりだったんだから。受けてあげる。みちるに友達に不道徳な行為をさせないためにもね。
叶うといいですね。
叶えるわ。先輩が私を応援してくれてるんだから。
そうですか。
She put the cup down on the saucer with a clink. And then silence. The mood had gotten quite heavy. When they both broke out faint smiles, it looked as if the surroundings began to warp.
おー、まさかこの目でシュラーバが見られるとは。手に汗握ります。
It makes me break out a sweat. A serious battle just turned into a competition for love. How strange! This was supposed to make a friendship stronger with each side accepting each other's skills.
興が乗りました。
Michiru smiled. I heard somewhere that smiling is a form of intimidation.
コンクール自体にはみじんも興味ありませんが、やはり今回ばかりは真剣になりましょう。
そうしてくれると嬉しいわ。私もきちんとした舞台の上で勝ちたいからね。
にもかかわらず、美咲さんは私のアドバイスを受けるつもりですか？
みちるが構わないならね。上達できる可能性があるのなら私はどんな努力だってしてみせるわ。応援してくれる先輩のためにも私は全力を尽くすの。
I got mesmerized in watching her firmly speak her mind. This girl I fell for is so cool.
なるほど。
だからよろしくね。
仕方ありませんね。
Misaki and Michiru smiled in agreement, dispelling the heavy mood earlier. A moderate amount of tension remained akin to prior a heated battle.
これが噂のスポコンですね、ご主人様。
Yeah, you're right. The mood became all right in the end, as expected from a couple of friends. It's kind of rare to see two girls get so heated up, though.